I'd like to introduce you to a game that I actually don't mind my kids playing. In fact, I encourage them to play with it. It's called Cargo Bot, and it's a great game for learning how to program. What I'd like for you to do is start off by working on the tutorials. But before you do that, I want to go through a couple of little quirks that I've noticed and show you how to get around those so that you won't get frustrated during the tutorial and you can get through them a little more efficiently. Let's start off with, let's say, the first tutorial. It will give you instructions on what to do. It tells you to program your claw. Here's the claw that you're going to maneuver in order to reach a goal. Notice how we have a crate or a box that is in this position, and our goal is to move it over one position to the right and place it here using this claw. And we're instructed to program our claw by dragging the down arrow to location to program 1. Here is program 1. Or prog 1. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it as they instruct us to do it. And they tell us drop it here. So we've dropped it in this register. That's each one of these slots is referred to as a register. And each register can hold one instruction. Then we're instructed to press play. Great. Notice that just, if the claw goes down and there's a box to pick up, it goes ahead and picks up the block. Then it tells us that our program has finished executing and we need to do the stop to go ahead and restart this whole process. Now we're instructed to go ahead and drag another arrow, this time our arrow to the right, and place it in this register. And then we're instructed to drag yet another down arrow and drop it here. Okay? We're told to go ahead and press play, so let's do that. So, what do these instructions do? Ooh, we got the solution, but let's go back and take a look at it. What the instructions tell us to do is go down and grab a box. Now, go ahead and move that claw now to the right, and then go down. And if you go down and you have a box, it just puts it down, okay? So if you don't have anything and there's a box to grab, it will grab it. If you have something and it goes down, then it releases it. That's what these do. Now, notice that we have some other things over here that we did not use. We did not use an arrow to go left, or we did not use these other little icons here for prog 1, prog 2, 3, and 4. I want to show you that if I try to drag this left arrow, I just don't seem to be able to do that. It keeps exploding on me. Similarly with prog 1, I get the same problem. That's a little quirk that I've noticed. And the way to get around it is by pressing on the icon that you want to move, and then pressing on the location where you want to move it to. So here, I went ahead and put it in this slot. Similarly, I can take this thing here and then press there and put it in that location, or put it in this location. Notice it just appears wherever else I press, second press. And that's going to be an easy way to get around this little quirk. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear that. And what I'd like for you to do now is to go through these tutorials on your own. So go through Cargo 101, Transporter, Recursus, Inverter, From Beneath, and when you're done with these tutorials, we're going to get together and try to solve this go left problem. We are given this problem. We have 3 stacks of blocks, all sorted by color, and we are asked to shift them all over one slot so that we end up with the empty slot being on the right-hand side. Now notice that our toolbox has no conditionals. All we have are the arrow keys and these program keys. And what these programs mean are, they're procedures. They are a set of associated instructions that have a name associated with them. And we're going to try to use those, and we'll talk a little bit more about a procedure as we're doing that. So let's break down our problem. The first thing we need to do is figure out how to move one block, right? We want to grab a block and shift it over to the left by 1. So how do we do that? Well, first, we need to move our claw over to the right. We need to make it go down so that it grabs a block. Then have the claw move back over to the left, and then place it back down, right? Let's go ahead and run the program and make sure that that does what we want it to do. It's good to test your programs repeatedly during the process so you can see every step that you do, and you can more easily figure out when you did a wrong step, when something went wrong. So here, we successfully moved one block over. Now what do we want to do? Well, we want to repeat this process, right? We want to go back to the right, go down, grab a box, move over to the left, and put it down. So in the tutorials, you learned that by adding the name Program 1, that what that does is it takes you back to the beginning of a program. It'll take you, in this case, back to the beginning of Program 1. So let's go ahead and step through that so you can see what happens. I move over to the right, go down, grab a block, move over to the left, place it down. Then my next instruction is go to Program 1. The first instruction in Program 1 is move over to the right. So we went ahead and executed that instruction. And we're going to continue the same process. Great. We got all of the blocks over, and we placed the last one down. Notice how this is bigger than the others? That means that it's the current executing instruction. So that's the last instruction that executed, was go ahead and put it down. Go down. But the next instruction to execute is, again, call Program 1, right? Call the procedure associated with name Program 1. And that takes us back to the beginning. Okay, so now we moved over to the right, and we went down. We didn't grab anything. We're going back to the right, and we're moving down. Well, since our claw was empty, it grabbed a box. And what's it going to do? Well, it's going to go back to Program 1, and it's going to move it over to the right, and start stacking things right back where they were. Now we're back to where we started, and we're going to end up repeating this process over and over again. Let's see it playing in fast mode. This is what is referred to as an infinite loop. We are doing the same set of instructions over and over and over again without any stopping condition. Well, we need to stop this because this isn't going to work for us. Obviously, it's not a good solution. Now, how do we reach a terminating condition? There are two ways with CargoBot. One is by moving the arm beyond these bars. If you crash into the bars, you destroy the arms and it destroys the program. It ends up, it fails, right? Well, we don't want that. But the other way that it will stop is by reaching your goal. Whenever you actually reach your goal, even if you're in this infinite loop situation, it detects that you achieved your goal and it stops. And so that's the terminating condition that we want to use. Now, how are we going to get out of this infinite loop here? Well, we don't want it to keep going back and forth. We want it to stop when it has moved over 3 different blocks, right? The 3 blocks in that one stack. So, let's try the following trick. Let's move this procedure over to Program 2, okay? And let's... I'm going to delete that for now so that we just keep track of our logic and what we want to do. We are going to do this not infinitely in a loop, but exactly 3 times. How do I do that? Well, I can call Program 2 3 times. Okay? So let's trace through that through that execution cycle so that you can see how that operates. We always start at Program 1. Which the first instruction is to call Program 2, right? So Program 2 is this procedure here. And its first instruction is go right, right? Now we know this, so we know what that's going to achieve. Notice that when it finished with the down arrow, it didn't come back to the beginning of Program 1, but it came back to the next instruction after the instruction from this procedure that it had executed before. And the next instruction says, go ahead and call Program 2 again. So I'm going to go ahead and end up here, execute these instructions, and then I would expect my execution flow to come back to this spot. So let's see if that's what happens. Yep, I went to program 2. I executed these instructions. I'm on that last one. See how it's bigger so that it shows me what instruction I just executed? I'm done with that. There are no more instructions to execute. So it's going to go back to the caller and go to the next instruction after it and execute that. So I expected this one to become big. Yeah, there it did. It says now we're executing program 2, which again takes us here. Now, what's the next instruction to execute? Well, it would be this one in this register, but there isn't anything left there. So this program won't do anything more. It's done. We've successfully moved to 3 blocks and stopped. But we don't want to just do that, right? What do we want to do next? Well, we want to move over to the right once and start this whole process again. So let's move over to the right and see what that takes us. Good. Now what's going to happen? Well, we need to start this process off again. This here will get us to start moving the green boxes, right? Because the first instruction here is move 1 to the right, then go down and we'll grab a box, a green box, then we'll shift it over to the left and we'll place it down. So if I call program 2 right here, I know that I will go ahead and get all of these green boxes done. And I need to do that 3 times, right? Great. That'll successfully do 2 sets. And let's confirm that. Yes. But now, what am I going to do with the blues? I don't have enough registers to do that. I could start chaining them by maybe saying, okay, here now call program 3, and let's do that. I'm going to call program 3, and in program 3 I'm going to say, all right, we need to shift over to the right, and we need to call program 2 3 times. Oops, here, 1, 2, 3. Now I expect this thing to run. Yes, and it stopped because we successfully achieved our goal. But notice we only got 1 star. Why? Let's go find out. If you look under hints, it gives you some directions of how to solve this problem. It tells you to move each pile to the left and then repeat. But then it also tells you what the shortest solution is. And I want you to look at the shortest solution first and not look at the hint up above if you can avoid it. I want you to try to figure things out for yourself. And, just to pay attention to the number of registers that you need to use in order to solve the problem and try to use no more than what they recommend, right? So we've got too many. What can we eliminate? Well, let's look at patterns now. We need to see what we're doing over and over again. Same thing that we're doing over and over again. What are we doing over and over again here? We are calling program 2 3 times, then moving over to the right. Calling program 2 3 times, then moving over to the right. Sorry, we do that here. And then calling program 2 again, 3 times. So how about instead of writing those over and over again, we just say repeat calling program 2 3 times and then moving over to the right. So how do we do that repeat thing? We can call program 1 again. Say start over at the beginning of this process. Now let's see if that works. Yay! We did it. We got it and we found the shortest solution. Now I'm going to clear that up for the next person to use. So I'm going to hit clear. And then we're going to try a different one. One that will require more steps than necessary to execute in order to get our best solution, our 3-star solution. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment.